a question. How can I extract myself from the control system? How do I live differently? What are the alternatives? This is an interesting one. I would say first and foremost, it's a bit like Patrick McGoohan in The Prisoner. His character number 6 is basically held captive in what is quite a nice village, and there are all the amenities and social activities you could want. Everything's there. It's quite a nice place. Some people would go for a vacation there. But McGoohan wants out, and for a while he can't get out. So what does he do? He does a very powerful and profound thing. He becomes free in his mind. He frees his self from the restraints of the system around him. So each episode, the devious number 2 who is trying to crack McGoohan's character fails. And they fail because they cannot get to him. They cannot get to his self. They can torture him, they can hurt him, they can disappoint him, they can please him, but McGoohan has effectively separated ego from himself. His soul is indestructible, untouchable. What they do to his ego is temporary, and it may hurt, it may be unpleasant, but it's temporary. The ego can be moved away from, sent out as a decoy, which is what time after time number 2 and his cohorts do. They go after the ego of number 6, mistaking it for number 6 himself. So how does this apply to us? In the same way. The ego inside is the thing that is frightened of the world. The ego inside is the thing that is pissed off and bored and unhappy. The ego is the most fearful part of you. If you distance yourself from that, your fear recedes. It may not disappear altogether, and it may come back from time to time to kick you up the arse, but it will diminish. It will erode to the point where the control system can no longer affect you in the way that it so profoundly affects others. When your mind is free, when your self expands outside the false restraints of the egoic mind, then the questions are of a more practical nature. Where to live? How to make money? Do you need money? Is it a normal town? Is it a village? Is it remote? Is it a new village, an alternative community, an eco-village, a wilderness area, a metropolis? These decisions are up to you. I would suggest you seriously look into alternative communities, communities that understand the importance of permaculture, resilience, sustainability, and independence from the system. The more you are plumbed into the system, the more you are connected with your power, food, water, and resources, the more dependent you are, the more vulnerable you are. To become less vulnerable, we must connect with those who share the same impulse for resilience and independence. These communities are growing all over the planet. They are not mainstream advertised, but they are there. You can visit them, you can stay, you can work there in some cases. Each have their own different ethics and systems and vibrations and frequencies. Find one that works for you. Settle your debts, pay your dues, and begin to move away from the system. If it is difficult for you to move away altogether, then at least begin to decrease your dependencies. Look at solar power. Look at obtaining and filtering your own water. Know where to go in the case of an emergency. These are not scary survivalist things. These are things that humanity has done for millions of years. There's no excuse to be caught by surprise when it begins to go down. It's going down now. This system must fail. It must come down. The control system desperately trying to control all the pieces on the chessboard to have this horrid fascist dictatorship. They're not necessarily interested in those who have already begun to move away from it. So if you act now, it will be worth 10 times the effort and efficiency of what you could do in 3 years' time from within the system. Then it will be hard to move. Now, it's still quite good. It's still quite easy. If you have to think about other people, think about how they are best served. Are they best served with you or with someone else? Is it best for you to stick together as a unit, share a vision, or is it best for them to be with a wider family, with other family members who share their vision? It depends on your family how you communicate. Some families are psychically estranged from each other, though they share the same house. Others share common visions and energetic goals. I have seen very successful, very warm, loving and powerful families in very alternative environments. It is doable, but it requires effort, communication and integrity. Other practical things. Watch less TV, less and less and less. Eat less. Move around more. Become as fit as you can possibly be. Reduce reliance on technology. Make sure people you know, especially people on your wavelength, have multiple means of contacting you, not just your email address. If one system goes down, be able to switch to another. Be able to travel. Be able to travel off the roads. Know your area. Know the people who live around you. Establish another place to go to should you need to. Again, don't let the fear vibration overtake you here. This is normal human behavior. Adaptability. If you know that the system is radically transforming, and if you're listening to this, you do know, then it is surely the only logical, responsible, compassionate, and wise thing to do to make your life more flexible. Above all practical considerations, however, is the spiritual state of mind and the psychic resilience to all that may unfold. For those who are spoon-fed their negative emotions through the TV, their trauma, fear, disgust, violence, and depression every day through their TV, a radical transformation of the way we live will be devastating. For those who have already begun to unplug from this illusory nonsense, the impact will be greatly lessened. If you make the effort now to establish better, more truthful, honest and constructive relationships in your life, especially those who are building and developing communities, it will be an evolution. I would hope that we can look back in 10 years upon these times and think, I'm glad I made the moves when I did, I'm glad I stuck my neck out, and I'm glad I went with my intuitions. If you go by the mainstream, if you go by the newspapers and the TV, you will be lost. Trust your instincts. Trust what you feel and know inside to be the case. Do not let fear overtake you. Fear is an egoic response. You are expanding your consciousness beyond the ego. The ego recedes as you grow. The capacity for fear diminishes. The nebulous concerns of the control system, mortgages, finance, debt, pensions, war, all those things begin to fade. I feel there will be a divergence. Human, post-human, non-human. These categorizations may sound distant, vague, and even fantastical. However, I know they will prove to be influential characteristics of very separate energetic paths. Choose what feels right. Are you human? Do you feel human? Do you always feel human? Are you bound to the 3D? Are you ready for something new? Again, balance is required. The practical, the compassionate, the shamanic, the integral, the natural. Bring all these things together in the best way you can, and you will succeed where others fail. You will expand where others contract. Your story will go on, your path will continue, and be more dynamic and impeccable than ever before.